Writing a great argument can be a lot of fun, but how do you create a strong build-up to an argument that makes your readers devour the pages? That's exactly what we're talking about today, so be sure to stick around. A big thank you to Sarah Frayne for suggesting this topic over on Patreon. Let's get started! Hey guys, Nour here, and welcome back to my channel. For those visiting for the first time, hello! I'm the fantasy author of the novel Divinity Falling. Be sure to subscribe for weekly writing advice videos. The benefit of adding an argument scene isn't just to add drama to your story. In fact, it's a great way to create character development and show us what your characters are like. So it's not a surprise that, in order to write the build-up to an argument, you must make us invested in the characters first. This is because readers won't care about characters arguing unless they care about the characters themselves. In other words, try not to insert an argument into your book in the first chapter. There are ways to break this rule and make it work, but generally, avoid doing this early on. Let us get to know your characters first. Who are they? What are their strengths and weaknesses, likes and dislikes, and other general character development stuff. Show us character dynamics too, because if we see what each character is like around others early on, we're more likely to feel involved in the argument once it happens. Plus, we might even anticipate an argument, because we know certain characters hold resentment or other bottled up emotion for one another, and that anticipation can play a big part in the build-up. Next, make sure to create a trigger point and let it happen days before or at least sometime before the actual argument. What do I mean by a trigger point? Well, there's usually something that happens that causes at least one of the characters to start having some pissed off thoughts. For example, one character might try to go out of his way to help another character's girlfriend at work. And although there's no harm in that, this might trigger the second character because he might suspect that the first character has feelings for his girl. And chances are the second character won't bring it up right away. This is the trigger point, and it can happen before the actual argument happens. Also, keep in mind that a lot of times, people in real life deny how they feel or bottle things up for a while. And those feelings come out once things accumulate, resulting in an argument. I'm not saying that that's how all arguments start, since sometimes they just happen because one person said the wrong thing or did something outrageous. But a lot of arguments do begin this way. So always think of a trigger point and let it happen in advance. It can happen the chapter before or a few days prior. Maybe a character gets drunk and shows up to another character's family event. The trigger point is up to you and depends on your story. From there, make sure the triggered character starts noticing things they don't like about the character that triggered them. Maybe they keep noticing bad behavior or little things that shouldn't typically bother them. But now that they're angry and triggered, those things do bother them. It's normal for people to complain about stupid little things when there's something much bigger bothering them. So make sure to include that from the moment the initial trigger happens up until the start of the argument. Once the argument begins, consider how characters naturally behave. For instance, everyone argues differently in real life. Some people are mean when they argue. Other people get passive-aggressive. Then you have really calm people who just try to resolve things. On the other hand, you have really sarcastic people who just don't make the situation any better. So keep that in mind and reflect on your characters' personalities and how they might argue. Also, remember that not everyone comes into an argument yelling. Arguments escalate, so don't start arguments with loud characters who are just hitting things. Of course, if a character is known to be the aggressive type, then that's a different story. For that reason, you might be able to break the rule here. But generally, it's important to let things escalate naturally. Maybe one character will take a passive-aggressive attitude while another character says mean things. Eventually, one of the characters gets offended by something the other character said. And that causes more hostility or even a physical reaction, like shoving the other character. Now, I'm not condoning physical fights in real life, but in fiction, I think they add a lot of depth. Lastly, don't forget body language and action. Just because arguments happen using dialogue doesn't mean the scene should be just two characters talking angrily. How do the characters react to each other and what's being said? I'm talking facial features like frowning, spitting, or biting their lip. I'm also talking about their physical behavior. Are they so angry that you could physically see the veins in their muscles pop? Maybe they back away from the other character because they're uncomfortable. Also, maybe the argument culminates in an actual physical fight or someone breaking something. This can all be exciting to read. So that's all I have for you today. I'd love to know, have you written an argument between characters and what was it like? Let me know in the comments. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. I put out weekly writing advice videos that will take your story to the next level. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media to see what I'm up to from day to day and to chat with me. And before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to Sarah Frayne and Alan J. Early from my shout out tier over on Patreon, as well as all my amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate you. And remember, Nour for president!